Chicago and the Philippines. A comprehensive review of the week's special community events, featuring many exciting personalities, handled by the most professional Chicago Philippine Reports TV staff.
The Interagency Task Force has adopted the Department of Health's new policy shortening the isolation and quarantine period for the general population. Under the new policy, those asymptomatic but have had close contact with a COVID-positive case will have to quarantine for only 5 days if fully vaccinated. Healthcare workers who have been asymptomatic but have been exposed to a COVID-positive individual are to quarantine for 5 days or less, depending on the risk versus benefit assessment of their hospital or public health office. Vaccinated individuals who are probable cases of COVID or have mild or asymptomatic cases will only need to quarantine for 7 days. 10 days isolation is to be done by probable mild and asymptomatic individuals who are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated. Moderate cases of COVID will also undergo a 10-day isolation. The unvaccinated and partially vaccinated who are asymptomatic but have been in close contact with a COVID-19 case are to quarantine for 14 days. Severe cases and those immunocompromised will have to isolate for 21 days. Under the new policy, isolation will be prioritized for the general population, while testing will be prioritized for healthcare workers, seniors, and the immunocompromised. According to Dr. Anna Ong Lim, immediate isolation upon the first onset of any symptom is important.
When you start showing your symptoms, the virus has had a head start of 2 days already going around your household and your workplace. So you don't really have time to second guess whether what you're feeling is COVID or not. That's why we keep talking about isolate immediately as your first step, because at least you're decreasing the chances of spreading it.
The DOH reminded that if symptoms like fever persist even after the recommended minimum isolation period, isolation should continue.
Pinapaalalahanan po natin ang lahat na kailangan may 24 na oras na wala na kayong lagnat, na hindi po kayo gumagamit ng kahit na anumang gamot, at dapat gumaling na rin po ang inyong simptomas bago lumabas sa isolation.
Cleaning surfaces is also important when isolating at home.
Its transmission is really mediated by droplet and aerosols. So all of these things that are coming out of our mouth and nose.
Despite the IATF's approval of the new quarantine period, some health experts are still questioning it.
Research showing that there is a significant decrease by the 7th day, but it is still not zero. It's still not even less than 5%. So that is something that, as we saw, in the UK, they have to check if they test negative with lateral flow tests or antigen tests at day 5 or day 6. However, in the Philippines, we're just assuming that these patients would not be infectious at the end of the 7th or 10th day of isolation. So this has to be really scrutinized further. The problem is that if symptoms will come out past that quarantine period, that raises the question, do we have to do we consider them already as past their quarantine period and thus they are not at risk to become infectious, or there is still that risk that when they develop their symptoms, it is a delayed manifestation of their infection and thus become potentially infectious as well.
The new quarantine period will take effect once the Department of Health has issued the policy.
Spain, Saudi Arabia, Canada, Puerto Rico, and 10 other areas will be placed under red list or countries deemed high risk for COVID transmission starting January 16 to 31. Travelers coming from these areas will no longer be barred from entering the Philippines based on new guidelines from the IATF. But they are required to present a negative RT-PCR test taken 48 hours before departing their country of origin. They would also need to undergo facility-based quarantine and undergo another RT-PCR test on their 7th day. Fully vaccinated individuals will be allowed to go home upon the release of a negative result, while those who are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated would need to complete 10 days of facility-based quarantine regardless of the results of their test. Travelers are also required to complete their home quarantine until the 14th day of their arrival in the country. Acting Palace spokesman Carlo Nograles explains the IATF's change in policy.
Pag umuwi po sila dito sa atin at sumunod strictly doon sa ating quarantine protocols para sa red list, then we are assured naman na mas mababantayan natin na kung positive man sila, if ever, then we can make sure na before we let them out of isolation or quarantine, then we're sure na wala na silang dala na COVID, maging negative na sila sa COVID.
Meanwhile, fully vaccinated travelers coming from green list or low COVID risk countries will no longer be required to undergo facility-based quarantine as long as they're able to present a negative RT-PCR test and self-monitor for COVID symptoms until the 7th day of their arrival in the country. Unvaccinated or partially vaccinated travelers, however, would need to quarantine at an accredited facility until the release of a negative RT-PCR test taken on their 5th day. From January 16 to 31, 32 areas will be placed under the green list, including Japan, mainland China, India, Hong Kong, Indonesia, and Taiwan. Other countries not mentioned are included in the yellow list or areas at moderate risk for COVID-19. Aside from presenting a negative RT-PCR test taken 48 hours from their departure, travelers coming from these areas will need to undergo facility-based quarantine until cleared by the release of their negative RT-PCR test taken on the 5th day for fully vaccinated individuals and on the 7th day for the unvaccinated or partially vaccinated. They would also need to complete their quarantine at home until the 14th day from the date of their arrival. Meanwhile, starting February 16, all foreign nationals will be required to present proof that they are already fully vaccinated against COVID-19 before they are allowed entry in the Philippines. Exempted from this new policy are minors aged 17 years and below, and those who were not allowed to get vaccinated due to their medical condition, and foreign diplomats, including their dependents.
Get ready for the ultimate in fresh produce. Barbecue, seafood, sushi, and more. Meals made easy. Kimchi with wow. Our dishes make you a star. H-Mart.
This is the future. Forget what you know about currency, commerce, investment. The age of Bitcoin is upon us. And now anyone, anywhere can turn cash into crypto with a coin flip ATM. Booyah.
With low fees and 24/7 support, CoinFlip makes crypto so flippin' easy. Go to coinflip.tech to find an ATM near you.
ViaTimes, vital news, vibrant views for the Filipino Asian communities in Chicago. ViaTimes for your most interesting and exciting reading and your party coverages. ViaTime has very interesting columnists. You name it, ViaTimes has it. Law, Filipino news, dentistry, immigration, humor, serious opinions, health, beauty, mysticism, Bata Corner, showbiz, and intelligently written editorials. Call ViaTimes at 773-866-0811.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat and welcome to Veronica's segment of the show. Today, I have a very interesting personality that who is really very young, a former Chicagoan, now a Californian, and he is a very active, very talented, dynamic young FilAm from Chicago. Welcome to our show, Mr. Lyle del Mundo.
Hi, how are you guys?
Many of you are familiar with this guy. I've known him and I've seen him grow up here in Chicago. And it's nice to hear that Lyle is still very active with what he's doing. He is what we would call serial entrepreneur in line of promotion. He's been promoting talented talents, not only Filipino talents, but also American talents. Am I right,
Correct.
Lyle? Help me welcome Mr. Lyle del Mundo.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. He is now what we will call a dot connector. Can I call you a dot connector?
Yes, for sure.
That you sent me, and please tell our viewing audience what a dot connector is doing. Lyle.
Oh, so good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. I hope everyone is.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I hope that everyone had a blessed, safe, and healthy holiday season. Obviously, this was one of the first years in the past couple of years that a lot of us have been able to congregate and celebrate together. But this Omicron variant is crazy, so make sure that you're still stay healthy. Anyway, so I guess as a dot connector, my roles and responsibilities are really to use my personal relationships and resources and bring them together. So I've been blessed and fortunate to, throughout my career to monetize on my personal relationships and resources, by connecting people with brands. So that will help elevate their, personal goals and, personalities as well. So with that said, yeah, currently, you're correct. I still work with a lot of various talents. Currently, actually, as of the other day, I was just told that one of the talents that I'm working with, we're bringing her back to the Philippines. Her name is Bella Porch. We're bringing her back to the Philippines for the first time since she's left. She was born and raised there and left 12 years ago. Oh, yeah, left 12 years ago. So it will be her first time returning back home since her social media stardom back in 2020. So when you get a chance, if you aren't familiar already, look up Bella Porch on social media platforms.
Bella
Porch, like sitting on, sitting on the porch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So all right. Can you please tell us specifically what you really do with all these talents in your hands?
Oh, yeah. So specifically, I help connect them with brands for endorsements. Also depending on, I guess, what they ask of me. A lot of them who are Filipino nationals or they have Filipino roots. A lot of them need help identifying and getting back to their culture and heritage, right? So because we're Filipino Americans, that's the unfortunate thing is, a lot of us were born and raised here. We didn't grow up, necessarily, how y'all grew up back home, right? So it's important for us, to keep those traditions, keep the culture alive. So that's what I do with a lot of the talents. Is because a lot of us still don't speak Tagalog or we don't cook Filipino food. It's important for us to keep those type of traditions. So that's what I do, with a lot of the talents is to make sure that they're still connected to their Filipino roots.
You are a second generation Filipino, right?
Correct.
And you are a FilAm. In connecting with these young FilAms here, which are really mostly were born here, right?
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
Born in USA. do you find, do you really find it easier to deal with them than your co-generation? Just FilAm second generation. But many of these are FilAm third generation already, really full Americans.
Mhm.
Easy to deal with them as a second generation FilAm?
I believe it is easier for me to work with them, because I believe my generation, the second generation, has the best of both worlds, right? We grew up with our core values that our parents taught us. We grew up with the traditions. We were able to, go back frequently. So, part of our lives that we actually were also raised in the Philippines. And then at the same time, we grew up here in the States, right? So that's where we're the best of both worlds, is that we're able to share those experiences, that knowledge, to the third, fourth, millennial Gen Z generations. So yeah, I say yes, it's definitely easier for me to help navigate, working with the younger generation and share that knowledge to them.
All right. So in connecting the dots, so-called in quotes, connecting the dots, I like that.
Yeah.
With these people, you really find it easier. But also, on the other hand, you don't find any generation gap, right? You're on with your own generation.
Correct.
And do many of them in your encounters, because I know this generation you're talking about, many of them have gone back to the Philippines.
Yes.
And they really sought the area of entertainment business.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what we call the FilAm in Pinas, the FilAm in Pinas, and they are really making good in that internet. Do many of them are youngsters that you handle here?
Yes, for sure. So some of the successful FilAms that actually went to the Philippines to pursue a showbiz career or entertainment that I'm friends with are like Casey Montero and his brother Troy, obviously Revilson, Fernandez. There's quite a few. JR Salona, or the Prince of R&B over there, who's back in LA now. There's quite a few that I'm very good friends with, and a lot of actually Filipino talents, from the Philippines, are coming back to the U.S. to pursue a Hollywood career here as well. So you'll see Inigo Pascual. He is starring in a new Fox TV show coming out, I believe, in a month or so. So it's really time for Filipino American talents to our time to shine, right? So what I do is help provide those type of platforms and give them those type of opportunities, so that we're more visible and we have more representation in the mainstream, or Hollywood, right, on a global stage. So yes, the answer to your question is yes. I am a lot of friends with a lot of talents from the Philippines, as well as Filipino Americans that have made it.
Where is really your talent concentrated on? Do you still do concerts?
I personally am not really a producer anymore. The last concert I would say that I really produced was at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, and that was probably 2016. And that concert, meant a lot to me because I was able to curate all the talents performing, but I wanted to make sure that it was important to connect the first generation all the way down to the millennials. So, I specifically chose like Gary Valenciano, to make sure that, our first generation was covered, and then talents from my generation, which were like Kai, Jocelyn Enriquez, Panay, Drop in Harmony. So those were the FilAms, of my generation that also made it, and then down to the YouTubers like AJ Raphael and groups like that. So that way, every generation was covered during that concert, and that was 2016, in Los Angeles. But yeah, I can't say that I'm no longer a concert producer. I help producers, get talents, but I don't produce myself.
Okay. It says here in your write-up that you are President Emeritus of CPA.
Yes.
CPA.
So CPA is one of the oldest Filipino nonprofit organizations in the US. They were established, this year will be CPA's 50th anniversary as a nonprofit, a 501c3. And they're one of the oldest, also, they're one of the legacy Filipino nonprofits in historical Filipino town. Why it's historic Filipino town? Because it was the first actual city designation of a Filipino neighborhood in Los Angeles. So the city actually recognized and named it that neighborhood historic Filipino town because that was the first neighborhood where Filipinos migrated back in the early 40s, 50s, and 60s. And CPA is known really for three pillars of service, which is human and health services, community economic development, and then arts and culture. So CPA is also one of the few Filipino nonprofits that, part of their second pillar, which is community economic development, CPA owns a portfolio of real estate properties that serve the Filipino community. So currently CPA is under construction. They're building their third affordable housing complex, which is 64 units upstairs, affordable housing, and then downstairs will be brand new offices, community space, that will help service the Filipino community in the area. But yeah, CPA is an amazing organization. I hold it near and dear to my heart. I'm hopeful, they'll be able to eventually, spread, their services nationwide. But the one thing that I learned about being president CPA is it's important for us to really, own our place. It's one thing, being able to serve the community, but it's another thing when you actually physically own your property. For us in historic Filipino town, there's been a lot of gentrification, within the neighborhood, where there's big box retailers moving in. There's a now, there's Starbucks, which wasn't there, a couple of years ago. So it's important for us as Filipinos to actually have a seat at the table to actually own our own property, where we have a say on what's going on within the neighborhood. So yeah, that's a little bit about CPA. CPA is thriving now. Leadership, there's a change in leadership under my leadership as president. Originally when I first joined the organization, there was like 9 board members. The majority, were my parents' age. They've been serving the community 15, 20 years. And, I was recruited by our old executive director and specifically to help bring younger leaders to help pave the way for for SIPA 10, 20, 30 years down the line. And by the time I termed out last June, there was 23 board members. Everyone's majority is 50 and under. So now SIPA is a younger organization with younger leadership. Because honestly, it's our time. I mentioned earlier, I think to get on that global stage, we have to empower our youth. So yeah, that's SIPA.
Good for you. And you have retired from SIPA, and still you really love the group, and you love what you did there.
Yes.
Okay, next question is, what are the other projects that you have in the offing for 2022?
Other projects I have coming in 22 is, as I mentioned earlier, helping bring Bella Porch back to her homecoming, back to the Philippines. So make sure to be on the lookout for us coming back. Upcoming, we have Filipino Heritage Night with the Houston Rockets versus the Utah Jazz. This will be Filipino Heritage Night 2 for them. We did one with them last October 28th. So this will be the second time. Jordan Clarkson, which was my old client, who's the second Filipino American in the NBA. They're gonna face off with Jalen Green, who's the third Filipino in the NBA. So those two right now are the two that are, representing Filipinos in the NBA, Jalen Green and Jordan Clarkson. So that's on March 2nd. May 7th, we are doing an Asian American Festival here in San Francisco. That's TBD right now. What else am I working on right now? There's a bunch of other stuff that I can't really discuss, but off the top of my head, those are the ones that I can. And then obviously more community service, definitely, hopefully I'll be able to help serve the community in Chicago soon.
Yeah, try to connect dots with Chicago.
No, most definitely.
Try to contact us by the ViaTimes for some of your some of the talents that you want to promote. We can help you from our end in our Artista page. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Very good. Well, Lyle, Mr. Dot Connector or Connector, that Connect Datter. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for gracing our show today. Okay. And one last word if you have.
Last words, I would say, I wish everyone, again, a happy new year. 2022, we've had the past 2 years to reflect, and concentrate on a lot of things. But, I wish everyone the best, have a prosperous new year. And hopefully I'll be able to connect with you guys sooner than later.
All right. Very good. I wish you good luck. And congratulations to all the good things that you've been doing for the community. And try to keep in touch with us at the Chicago Philippine Reports TV. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Lyle. And hope to see you soon one of these days.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for gracing our show today.
Yep. Okay.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat and welcome to the Veronica segment of the show. Today, I have a very interesting personality. Believe it or not, this person, she really impresses me every time I talk to her. And she's doing what I'm actually doing, and but she's doing it on radio. Her name is Ria, I forgot your last name.
Ria Luz po ang
Ria.
They know me
Luz.
better.
Is that really your last name?
My real last name is Kulu, which is an African name, but my maiden name is Clemente, but my people know me more as Ria Luz, but Luz is my middle name that I never used in the past.
All right. I love that name. Short.
Yes.
Ria, R-H-I-A, Luz, light. That means light, L-U-Z.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to our show, Ria. And believe it or not, she is from Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes, Arizona.
Okay, what's the temperature there now?
About 67, 70 degrees today.
My God.
Yes.
You know what's the temperature here in Chicago?
What is the temperature there today, Atita?
I think it's around 12.
I remember how cold it is.
Suddenly, I started coughing. I really am feeling under the weather.
Yes.
Trying to rest.
I live in Chicago for almost 14 years, and I still think of the chills when I think of Chicago winter.
Wow, I'm happy for you. And I know you're really happier living in Arizona than living in Chicago.
I'm happier also when I was in Chicago, but I never knew that I will find Arizona as one of the most amazing place to be. Never thought Arizona would be like this.
You found a paradise, isn't it?
Paradise? It's paradise on winter.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, Ria has established herself when she moved to Arizona in the radio media.
Thank you, Paul.
And let us hear her talk about what she's doing in the radio media. And on the other hand, I'm really proud to tell you that Ria is working as a full-time nurse. And so welcome to everything that you're doing well.
Well, thank you so much, Tita.
So proud of you.
I'm very grateful po that we can converse and we can finally meet. As I was mentioning to you in the past, I live in Chicago for 14 years, and your name is always on top of every Filipino newspaper, the ViaTimes. And one day I was thinking, I really can meet this wonderful woman, and I have to leave Chicago for me to be able to meet you in person.
I have to leave Chicago to meet me. Ria and I met where? I think we met through your sister, right?
Yes. We met. I invited you when I came back to Chicago for our Women's Federation for World Peace convention, and you were so gracious to join us and meet the international vice president at the time in Chicago.
And you're really involved, really actively involved with that one.
Yes, and in fact, I owe a lot to Women's Federation for World Peace, which is I'm the chairwoman here in Arizona at this time, because through that organization. That's why I was able to realize my childhood dream of being a radio host. And I never thought it would ever happen to my life. It was just a childhood dream. But being the chairwoman of the Women's Federation for World Peace here in Arizona allowed me to network with many top radio hosts in the Spanish community, and they're the one who paved the way for me to be on radio and realize, wait a second, there is no radio show in the Filipino community in 2017. And so I asked the producer of Entre Mujeres Radio if they will open it up for us. And lo and behold, even without an experience, they trusted me, and the show is now 4 years. Together with the support of the community, we were able to keep the show going. Thank you so much.
You're so good and so talented.
Thank you, Tita. I'm just
you didn't know at the time that you had a hidden talent.
Thank you. It was I think it was something like when you're passionate about something, as many said, work or do something that you enjoy doing, and then it will never be a job. And so for me, that's what being on radio. If I'm on the show, even I'm so tired, I am not feeling good, but when show it's time, you have to show up and smile. But and you can really get energized. That's for me. And also, I really hope that the show can become a channel to become the voice of the Filipino here in our community here in Arizona. And in fact, I'm very proud because of the community and the committee of Buhay Buhay sa Amerika, which are the people behind and who are helping the show to keep going. We were able to even help those kababayan who were affected by typhoon, just as last year in 2021, the Typhoon Rolly and Typhoon Ulysses that hit Philippines. The show was able to help support more than 500,000 pesos were sent to Catanduanes and in Naga, as well as in Cagayan Valley, another organization together with Women's Federation for World Peace. We were able to send money also there. And just as yesterday, we were sharing on the show how the Plan for a Cause, which was led by our committee chair, Tetes Bailon of Arizona, she, together with all the rest of the Buhay Buhay sa Amerika committee, were able to raise more than close to, or I think by today, we made it to $6,000, which was sent to the Philippines. It just started from December 19, and until today, more than 400 families were supported and given food or rice and other goods, was all through the support of the community and the committee of Buhay Buhay sa Amerika. Even though I'm not directly involved, but having the Buhay Buhay sa Amerika become a vehicle to help others, it is a joy. And I think that's probably why God allowed us to keep going.
Voice of America, right?
Buhay Buhay sa Amerika.
I mean,
yes.
But how do you send the money and the goods to the victims of the typhoon?
Luckily, Ate Tess, last year we were able to have somebody from Catanduanes, the Vice President of Catanduanes State University, Dr. Marlene Panty, together with all her staff and volunteers, was able to disseminate everything. Wonderful reporting with videos, with pictures, with every amount of money that was spent, as well as this year we have Miss Tita Aida Molina, who is a retired government employee. She's also a retired nurse in Southern Leyte, and she's the one who disseminate the money and the goods in southern. Yes.
Yes, because sometimes it's difficult.
Yes.
People involved to really distribute the money or even the goods to the victims. But we've had stories about that. But anyway, let me ask you about your radio show and your awards. She, believe it or not, I know she's really kind of shy to talk about it because she's a very humble person. But I want to congratulate you, Ria, for getting the award from the Commission on Filipino Overseas. The CFU. That is a very good organization that's been
41 years.
Yeah, awarding the overseas Filipinos in the media. And as a matter of fact, she got 2 awards already. Congratulations. I didn't know about the second award. I knew about the first award. But the second award, oh my God, really? Congratulations, Ria. You're really doing a great job.
So, thank you so much po.
So what can you say about your radio program?
The radio program is it is a Filipino radio show on a Spanish station, Entre Mujeres Radio. The show promotes the stories of our Filipino kababayan here in America, and many times I even interviewed kababayan even in Japan and in other country as well. So it was, now we're not just targeting the kababayan in America, but if they have a story and they wanted to bring it on the show, we can interview them with this internet that we have. But most of all, as I mentioned, it is talking about the inspiring stories of our kababayan. So then it can help others who are losing hope that maybe they can learn from these people's stories, as well as we bring the talent of Filipino artists, the local artists in the Valley. We have featured artists on the show that on our segment, we allow someone with a golden voice or artistic talent to be our featured artists. And also we promote upcoming events in the community as part of the show. So the show has different segments and it lasts for 1 hour. And basically that's how the show is we played. But also whenever there is a calamity, if our community are doing something, we wanted to keep promoting that project or initiative, so then others will be more inspired to help our kababayan back home.
Terrific. And the title of your radio program is Buhay Buhay sa America. Look at our logo in the background. But Buhay Buhay, that's life.
Yes. life in America.
Okay. Buhay is life in Filipino language. So, but
it has.
We like to repeat.
Yes, if we like it, we repeat it over and twice.
Isn't that nice? Okay.
It can also be buhay, na buhay.
Buhay, right.
It means it's very much alive. So it actually has a good meaning for both.
Alive, really. Life is alive.
Yes.
Okay, so one amazing thing about Ria is, besides a full-time mother, she's a mother of how many?
I have 3 daughters po.
3 daughters. She has 3 daughters. She is a full-time mother, and she's a full-time nurse.
Yeah, I'm an ER nurse this time.
And she is really, wow, really dedicated to her radio show.
And a gardener po.
And claiming awards left and right.
And also you can say I'm a gardener of kamoting, gardener of sweet potatoes.
Amazing. She is an amazing lady. Okay, Rhea. Okay, how do you do all those things in just one swoop? One swoop. As if you can just, here's one day. I have to be a nurse. I have to be a mother. I have to be a radio broadcaster. Wow. And plus your other involvement in the community. How do you do? What is your secret? How do you do it?
I just do everything that is scheduled at the time. Just like you, Tita, you have been doing this all over Chicago for so many years. I think it's also the passion. When you want what you're doing, it doesn't make it feel hard because you enjoy it. And for me, I enjoy being with people. And I pray to God before to use me as an instrument. So anytime I'm going out, I always think of myself, God is using me in some way or form. And that's probably where the energy is coming from. Because as you mentioned, sometime I leave the house from 9 in the morning and I don't come back till late as 11 o'clock at night. And also I have a very supportive husband who is not nagging me, instead supported everything that I'm doing.
And so one good aspect.
Yes, I have a very good supportive family that no matter what, they're not nagging. Instead, do what makes you happy, Mom. So that's the one that my kids are telling me as well.
You are really lucky to have a husband like that. And yes, maybe your kids, the children are all good too.
Thank you.
And you are such a devoted wife and mother, and you're also involved helping other people.
Well, if God can use us,
you're also a good time manager. Good time. You know how to manage your time. It is very important, right?
Thank you so much, Tita, for your encouragement and this compliment. I hope I am doing the right thing.
Oh my God, you are doing a superb job.
Oh, thank you po. Now we know why ViaTimes continues to be on media for this long, because you know how to encourage others. With your encouragement, I felt like I can go another many more years if I can keep hearing people like you who encourage us to do well. And that's why I applaud ViaTimes and Cprtv for what you do in Chicago and the Midwest, because really we are the one who are the voice of our kababayan here in America. And as we Filipinos continues to support one another and uplift one another, there will be no Filipinos left behind. All of us will continue to become progressive.
You know what, Rhea, one more thing that I can say is that God destined us to do what we're doing. Amen. I never thought I was going to be doing what I'm doing right now, but there is God up there that, in a way, really works on our path. Amen. What to do with our life, and I believe that.
Very good, Tita. It was all God's handiwork, without the energy that comes from above, we can't do this job.
Correct. And plus helping all these people around us. All right. Very good.
Very, very true to have a lot of people who encourage us and help us with Buhay Buhay sa America. It is the Buhay Buhay sa America committee and the community that kept me going, because they supported Buhay Buhay sa America. We have some people who sponsors the show, and that's how we were able to keep going. And then the Buhay Buhay sa America committee, who also inspired us to do not only what the show can do, but they go beyond and take initiative to help the community and back home.
Great. Terrific. All right. Miss Ria Luz, the light of your life there. Oh, not only in Arizona, all of the Filipinos all over the United
Salamat, Tita.
Yes.
I hope to be the light.
I'm talking to you, you're in Arizona, and I'm here in Chicago. Thanks to technology, believe it or not. Okay. And Miss Ria Luz, the really a very special person who's handling the Buhay Buhay sa America radio broadcast from Arizona.
Thank you so much, Tita, for the opportunity to speak to you and to all our kababayan back in the Midwest, especially in Chicago. Maraming salamat po. I look forward to coming back to Chicago. It's my first hometown.
Thank you for gracing our show today.
Thank you so much, Tita.
Okay. Maraming salamat.
Yes.
Bye.
God bless you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Good afternoon. This is Brigitte, Carino, Cueter, bringing you this week's local news from our community. Whole Foods says that it has the constitutional right to ban its employees from wearing Black Lives Matter masks while on the job, Bloomberg reports. The business says that a federal labor board will effectively violate the First Amendment if it attempts to force the company to allow the polarizing message on employee masks. National Labor Relations Board General Counsel Jennifer Abruzzo filed a complaint in November that the company infringed on federal law by enforcing a workplace dress code that banned Black Lives Matter masks. The board's complaint alleged that the company illegally prevented several of its employees from displaying Black Lives Matter logos on masks and apparel and punished those who flouted the company-wide regulation. The complaint, according to reports, alleged that Whole Foods prevented its employees from engaging in concerted activities for their mutual aid and protection. The Illinois Department on Aging is now accepting nominations for the Senior Illinoisan Hall of Fame, open to adults aged 65 or older who excel in the categories of community service, education, performance, and/or graphic arts, and the labor force. Older residents enrich our communities on a daily basis with their wide range of experiences and achievements, said Governor J.B. Pritzker. Especially as we continue to navigate challenging times, the Senior Illinoisan Hall of Fame is a great program to spotlight older adults for their successes and bring them some well-deserved recognition. The Senior Illinoisan Hall of Fame was established by the General Assembly in 1994 to honor older adults' accomplishments and contributions to their communities. Each year, 4 Illinoisans aged 65 or older are inducted into the Hall of Fame for their work in the community service, education, arts, or the labor force. Nominations for 2022 inductees must be submitted by June 1st. Beginning today, applications are now open for the Department of Transportation and Highways Invest in Cook grant program to assist communities with transportation infrastructure improvements. In conjunction, the Bureau of Economic Development is also accepting capital improvement applications for their Community Development Block Grant program, supporting economic development throughout the county. Making equitable investments in transportation improvements and economic development projects throughout the county is imperative to my administration, said President Preckwinkle. Funding projects in traditionally underserved communities is a critical component in creating a better place for all residents and businesses. The Illinois Board of Higher Education approved a fiscal year 2023 budget recommendation that increases funding to support its equity-driven strategic plan adopted in June 2021 and subsequently endorsed by the Illinois Community College Board and the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. The budget proposal is $2.1 billion and would reflect a 7%, $139 million increase for general funds, excluding the State University Retirement System. The IBHE budget reflects the three goals of the Higher Education Strategic Plan: a thriving Illinois, equity, sustainability, and growth. Effective immediately, new rules filed by the Illinois Department of Labor adopt federal vaccine and testing mandates on employers of more than 100 employees. The state's agency's website said the final rules are not open to appeal or challenge and adopt the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration's COVID-19 vaccination and testing emergency temporary standard. These rules are effective immediately, but give employers under the jurisdiction of Illinois OSHA until January 24th to begin to come into compliance with the requirements of the emergency temporary standard by developing a workplace policy regarding vaccination and testing in accordance with the ETS, said IDOL website. That's all for today. Thank you for watching our news this week. This is Brigitte. See you next time.
Yan! Dito na!